Howdy, hope you all had a great time over the holidays. If you didn't, I salute you, my fallen soldiers. But without further ado, let's get into it.
Well, Tamari, what's up?
Episode 71 wastes no time setting the tone of the episode. While the animation isn't on par with episode 19, it's apparent more effort went into this episode than the last one. Even if you didn't notice from looking at Kankuro and Tamari, Sasuke's tree hopping scene is all you really needed to see. Just look at the difference between Sasuke's pursuit. The left is E70 and the right is E71. There's a stark difference if you ask me. Even though the episode starts off with Sasuke v Team Baki, the increased quality has little to nothing to do with them. It's all about Hiruzen versus Orochimaru. With the quality talk out of the way, Kankuro and Tamari stop running momentarily so Tamari could set traps for Sasuke. Sasuke easily evades the traps though, despite him claiming it was a close call. We're then taken to Team Bakun reacting to the explosion Sasuke set off in the distance.
Whoa, what was that?
Tripwire traps. They're certainly not making Sasuke's job easy for him.
You can just barely hear the explosions roaring in the background, so they don't appear to have made up any ground at all, which makes sense considering they stopped twice to throw the sound ninja off of their trails. Before we move on to Orochimaru v Hiruzen, I want to comment on Sakura saying this.
Sasuke, do you think he might have been—
Oh, don't worry about Sasuke. It'd take a lot more than that to get rid of him.
Sakura has been such a Debbie Downer. It's not just this episode either. Last episode she doubted Shikamaru and this episode she downplays Sasuke. I know traps are traps, so this comparison isn't exactly one-to-one, but I find it crazy that she watched Sasuke evade all of Gaara's strikes while doodle-bopping him probably no more than an hour ago, and she still thinks he'd get done in by some improvised explosive seals. With the kids' business out of the way, it's time to get back to the adults. Upon returning, we see Orochimaru slide a kunai with a seal on it into each of the Rama's heads. Even though they're Edo Tensei, they're still solid, so him being able to do that looks a bit odd to me. In fact, Hiruzen must agree with my sentiment, otherwise there's no reason for him to stand there hunched over while Orochimaru is powering up Lord First and Second.
The devil kind of jutsu is that?
Forbidden one. It's a summoning jutsu called reanimation.
Sure, the Abu could be standing right next to Hiruzen while they have that conversation, but that would take almost all of the tension away. Hiruzen's concerned reaction would lose all of its power since two background characters would be narrating the fight directly beside him. The Abu being on the outside while looking in while talking makes for better storytelling than having them standing inside preparing to get one-tapped. Hiruzen sheds a few tears after Tobi and Hashirama finish transforming, then Orochimaru sicks the two onto Hiruzen. It's at this moment you can see Orochimaru's game plan working in full effect. He didn't plan on pulling up and overpowering Hiruzen in a 1v1. Instead, his goal was to overwhelm Hiruzen physically and emotionally. Sure, Hiruzen holds his own against Tobi and Hashirama once combat starts, but Hiruzen is clearly not on his A-game. After Hiruzen successfully fends off the Senju assault, he performs what the anime calls fire-style dragon flame bombs. It's one of the best animated fire-style jutsus, in my humble opinion. Although, it doesn't really look like bombs at all, so they should have just called it Dragon's Flame like the manga did. The anime also makes Tobi and Hashirama appear much more powerful than their manga counterparts. The way Tobi and Hashirama face-tanked Hiruzen's fire jutsu before Tobirama counters it with his water wall makes Hiruzen's jutsu look weak. In the manga, Tobirama immediately counters with his water wall. That doesn't make Hiruzen look fighter at all since Tobirama is a water specialist and water beats fire. Tobirama using water wall in the anime is completely superfluous since he and Hashirama could have just waltzed on out of Hiruzen's fire since they literally took zero damage from it. The Rama's face-tanking Hiruzen's fire doesn't just only affect Hiruzen's portrayal. The Abu captain saying this makes less sense.
Amazing to cast so powerful a water-style jutsu where there is no water. It's beyond belief.
He's saying about the potency of the water-style jutsu is still true. However, Tobi and Hashirama face-tanking Hiruzen's jutsu is far more impressive in my book. They literally no-sold Hiruzen's attack. If Studio Pierrot wants to copy and paste dialogue, they can't also change the context in which the dialogue was written. Before moving on, I just want to state my preference for the manga's depiction of Tobi and Hashirama. Instead of their normal eyes, they have black and red eyes, which inherently makes them look more evil. Moving on now. After Tobirama blocks Hiruzen's attack, he fires off an offensive jutsu of his own. That's when one of the most powerful jutsu in all of Naruto is finally revealed.
Style mud wall!
Do you see how ridiculously overpowered Mudwall is? You're up against Tobirama, Mudwall, Madara, Mudwall, the freaking 10 tails itself. No worries, Mudwall. 10 out of 10 Jitsu. Jokes aside, this is where the anime's filler transcends far above the action scenes the manga put out. The manga has Hashirama immediately use his deep forest emergence after Hiruzen's Mudwall. That in turn causes Hiruzen to prepare his summoning jutsu while leaping onto his Mudwall. The anime gives us something completely different. I know I sound like a broken record at this point, but I can't understand how people say anime depictions will always be worse than the manga when the anime gives us fully fleshed out fights. Anime Hashirama blitzes Hiruzen rather than using his deep forest emergence. Hiruzen sees Hashirama coming and decides to take him head on. Hiruzen fires off more fire bombs, to which Hashirama easily blocks. This display reinforces just how powerful Hashirama is. After reaching Hiruzen, Hashirama lays the absolute smackdown on him. It's brutal. Hiruzen is left with little time to breathe before Tobirama notifies him that he should have prepared for trouble and made it double. Tobirama does go easy on him compared to Hashirama. He just chokes him a bit, then shoots some hydro pumps at him. Dodging those hydro pumps does take a lot out of Hiruzen though, so it's not like Tobirama actually went easy on him. This is where the anime really distinguishes itself from the manga. Instead of Hiruzen having the free time, nay, the luxury of focusing his attention solely on Hashirama and being able to see Hashirama weaving the hand signs for deep forest emergence, anime Hiruzen is caught completely off guard. That's because Tobi and Hashirama make perfect use of each other's attacks to launch their own attacks. It's very clear that they are brothers and have a lot of combat experience together. Hiruzen does get a little breather while Hashirama's jutsu is revving up, but the tension is completely different. Anime Hiruzen is very clearly on the back foot the entire time. Even the summoning of Enma has a different context behind it. Manga Hiruzen sees deep forest emergence and goes, oh, I'll just summon Enma I guess. While anime Hiruzen goes, holy smokes, Enma, help! After Hiruzen gets grabbed by Hashirama's wood, the Abu captain says this.
He uses his chakra as a life source. So this is the legendary secret earth jutsu of the first Hokage.
I cut his exposition dump short because I heard him say earth style, whereas the manga clearly said wood style. I don't get why calling it wood style is an issue. It's not a big deal that the anime decided not to, but I don't know, it's just odd. Here's the rest of the exposition though.
This is the legendary secret earth jutsu of the first Hokage. He who brought peace to the land and founded the Hidden Leaf Village.
Just after the Abu captain finishes speaking, Orochimaru walks up to the trees where Hiruzen is being held and hits Hiruzen with a one-liner.
Looks to me like this fight is over, hey sensei?
It wasn't the mightiest of one-liners, but it'll do. After commercial break, we are once again taken to Iruka's academy class. The camera focuses on a sad Konohamaru while Iruka talks the class through evacuating. If you don't remember, Konohamaru is sad because of the double rainbow he saw. He pretty much has a spidey sense that's telling him something bad is happening and he knows Hiruzen is mixed up in it. We're quickly taken back to the Kage Royale because, let's be real, that's the reason why we're here. No one really cares about Konohamaru. We pick up with Hiruzen desperately reaching out for the tree branch in front of him so he could place his palm on it in order to summon Enma. The moment Enma comes out, he immediately sets his gaze on Orochimaru, then says this.
It's you again. I should have known this would happen. You fool, Saratobi. You should have killed him when you had the chance.
I 100% agree with Enma. In the flashback of Hiruzen confronting Orochimaru, he could have mollywopped Orochimaru but chose not to. At least when Obi-Wan confronted Anakin, he fought him with intent to kill and only left when he thought he was dead to rights. Hiruzen knew Orochimaru committed many heinous crimes and even killed his men right in front of him, and Hiruzen just watched him run away. In very anime fashion, Orochimaru lets Hiruzen and Enma reminisce. He only decides to attack after Hiruzen gives Enma the command to transform into the adamantine staff. It's clear that Orochimaru knows Enma is capable of transforming into the staff, so that begs the question. Why on earth did he stand there and allow that to happen? Don't hit me with a because plot either. If you're not sure what I mean, allow me to explain. Come along, dear viewer. So first order of business, let's get our facts straight. Orochimaru isn't currently participating in the fight. All he's doing is watching the Kage fight. That means his attention isn't directed anywhere else but Hiruzen. Which means he saw Hiruzen bite his thumb. Hiruzen may be capable of summoning other monkeys in battle, I don't know. But what I do know is the only summon worth summoning in this situation is Monkey King Enma. Orochimaru is an intelligent character, and this isn't an intelligent decision. He had to nat 1 in order for this to make any sense. Him standing there watching Hiruzen summon Enma is literally the only way Hiruzen could make a comeback. It can't even be argued that Orochimaru wanted a challenge, because the moment he realizes the jig is up, he starts crapping bricks. I'm aware that in the manga, Orochimaru never attempts to stop Enma from doing anything. All he does is comment on Enma being summoned, then Enma instantaneously transforms. There's no, quick, stop him. So Enma defending himself against Tobi and Hachirama is anime only. That's fine though, since once again, I'm analyzing the anime, so the anime continuity is what takes priority. Continuing with the anime, Tobi and Hachirama blitz Enma in an attempt to stop him from transforming. Our boy Enma looks like an absolute mad lad too, might I add. He sends Tobirama into the ground, then blocks Hachirama's strike, then sends him flying with a punch. Enma then takes a Ginyu Force level pose, so I assume that it's required to transform, otherwise, like, why? What are you doing? Then after that, boom, Enma transforms into the indestructible Noi staff. I think I said that right. I know I could just go back and listen to how Hiruzen said it, but I'm recording and I don't have the clip up, so I'm not gonna do that. YOLO, I guess. Anyway, Enma chops through Hachirama's wood like butter, freeing Hiruzen. It is then when the Abu captain says this in the manga, "What a high-level ninjutsu contest! This is what it takes to be Hokage." Which brought a smile to my face because I immediately thought of Hokage Naruto. He literally does the exact same thing from the point he learned the Rasengan. He curates shadow clones, runs up, runs your fade, then tries to land a Rasengan. Sometimes it's a big Rasengan, but you get my point. Orochimaru decides it's been too long since he did something weird, so naturally, he decides to throw up his sword instead of summoning one from a scroll or having it sheathed on him like literally anyone else. Kishimoto refuses to let us forget that Orochimaru is in fact a freak. Man literally spit out a snake that spits out his sword. He's so extra, man. Like, come on, bro. Why? Before round 2 of the fight begins, Enma informs us that Orochimaru's sword is no regular sword. He calls it the Grass Longsword, and says that no matter how durable he is, the Grass Longsword will still harm him. We really have no way of knowing how many artifacts / mythical weapons are in the Naruto universe or the different tiers of power they come in. The Grass Longsword is technically the first artifact that we see, but honestly I'd add Enma to that list since he transforms into the indestructible Staff Noi, which sounds like an S tier artifact to me. I'm not basing that off of the anime's added dialogue either. The Monkey King Enma is clearly a nod at Sun Wukong. I don't say that because he's referred to as the Monkey King in Naruto and Sun Wukong is also the Monkey King. Sun Wukong has the ability to transform into objects and animals. We never see Enma transform into a different animal, but he does transform into the indestructible Staff Noi. Sun Wukong also wields a magical staff. His staff is referred to as Golden Banded Staff. From reading this excerpt, we learn that Wukong's staff had a black base, golden rings on each end, can grow and shrink, and can make copies of itself. Enma looks the part, and he has all of the abilities, so I'd reckon that he's an S tier artifact. Fun facts aside, the battle between Orochimaru and Hiruzen commences. To my surprise, Hiruzen is actually pressing Orochimaru. After all the hype Orochimaru got along with the hype the Grass Longsword just got, I thought old man Hiruzen was at a disadvantage, but I was dead wrong. Had Tobi and Hachirama not been there, Hiruzen likely would have soloed Orochimaru handily. After Orochimaru punts Hiruzen away, he says this.
That was foolish, trying to fight the 3 of us without using your shadow clone jutsu.
It's evident that Orochimaru thinks very highly of Hiruzen still. The manga makes that even more apparent with its choice of dialogue. In the manga, Orochimaru says, "I can't believe you leapt right in without even using shadow clones." That means Orochimaru believes Hiruzen's chakra reserves are much higher than they actually are, otherwise he would have made fun of him for being weak in his old age. Since the Anbu captain has been in Hiruzen's presence longer, he knows that Hiruzen's declined much more than Orochimaru realizes. While Hiruzen is still laying on the ground, Orochimaru walks up to his lifeless body and begins to taunt him. Orochimaru pulling up on Hiruzen and talking smack to his face is far more personal and serves to elevate the tension of the scene. It appears to the audience that the only cards Hiruzen has up his sleeves are the 2 paper bombs he placed on Tobi and Hashirama's legs. Manga Hiruzen is still being pressed, but it's not nearly as serious since Hiruzen's on his feet and Orochimaru is standing behind his 2 bodyguards while talking crap versus being in Hiruzen's face. Another reason why the anime is great is because it gives us this super creepy Orochimaru expression. You just can't beat Orochimaru's creepiness, man. Don't even try.
What's wrong with you, Sarutobi? Surely you didn't summon me just for this, to watch you crumble. What are you waiting for?
It's interesting how much more emphasis is placed on Hiruzen's mental anguish in the anime versus the manga. Manga Hiruzen is much more stoic. Even though canonically he's suffering a mental nerve, it's much less apparent in the manga. Honestly, you could make an argument Hiruzen is just old and there is no mental nerve from fighting his former student and his 2 former teachers to the death. The 2 biggest instances of a mental nerve in the manga are when Enma says, "It's not like you, what's the matter?" and after Orochimaru reveals his true face. That there is the most emotion Hiruzen shows up to this point. The anime takes a different route. We see Hiruzen stumble forward after seeing Tobi and Hashirama's reanimation completing. We then see Hiruzen glancing over at the 2 before breaking into tears. When the brothers rush Hiruzen, he cluelessly stares at them like they aren't 2 former Hokage running over to kill him. After getting doodle-bopped by the 2, Hiruzen practically craps his pants when he realizes Hashirama is using deep force emergence. That whole display from Hiruzen wasn't stoic at all. Hiruzen's emotional state is at the forefront of the battle. There's no question whether or not Hiruzen is suffering a mental nerve. It isn't until Hiruzen summons Enma that he finally regains his composure and becomes a formidable foe. However, Hiruzen is still clearly out of it. He gets laid out and starts to tear up yet again while looking at Orochimaru. Hiruzen eventually composes himself and kicks Orochimaru off of him. Without hesitation, Enma grabs Orochimaru's neck and chokes him out to reveal that it was a mud clone. Like the absolute troll he is, Orochimaru reforms and just smirks on some LOL XD type energy. Hiruzen sends Orochimaru flying before activating the explosive seals he placed on Tobi and Hashirama. The explosive seals are shown to have done jack diddly to Tobi and Hashirama since they are reanimations. That revelation makes Hiruzen realize that the only way to stop the brothers is to use the Reaper Death Seal. As such, he prepares to whip it out, but before doing so, Orochimaru interrupts Hiruzen with some dialogue, then peels off his face. When I said the Anbu are perfect stand-ins for the audience, I meant it. This is 100% everyone's reaction to seeing that.
What the hell's going on?
Hiruzen has the exact same reaction as we do, and Orochimaru says this in response.
You have lost it, old man. Don't you recognize me? It's me, Orochimaru.
It's then that Hiruzen realizes Orochimaru mastered all sorts of forbidden jutsu. The body that we are currently seeing belonged to a female shinobi before Orochimaru body snatched it. In the manga only, one of the Anbu provides some exposition for us. He states that Orochimaru is too young and looks different, making Orochimaru's claim unbelievable. Obviously, the Anbu doesn't know what Hiruzen knows, but we also don't know what Hiruzen knows, so the extra bit of information helps us out when it comes to piecing together the lore. Next up is probably the most disturbing scene in Naruto, at least for me.
Hailed as the supreme shinobi.
What the hell's going on?
I wasn't even that young when I watched that. I was maybe 17 years old, but man, was I creeped out. When Orochimaru first pulled off his face, it wasn't that deep, but this time was completely different. The creep levels are over 9,000. Let me know y'all thoughts on Orochimaru's face reveal down in the comments. After Orochimaru's laugh, we're shown that Sasuke finally caught up to Temari, Kankuro, and Gaara, and with that, the episode ends. If you enjoyed this episode and you don't want Lady Orochimaru to visit you tonight, be sure to like the video. If you want to keep Tobi and Hashirama away, subscribe to the channel. I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Deuces.